It's me, Candace, with Happy Catastrophe. I'm also known as Sister Minbao. Some folks call me Sister, because if you haven't heard yet the news, I am an ordained Buddhist nun. All right, this is Haunted Highrise. Now this is number 5 in the series. We've done 4. They're not dependent on each other. They're all independent. So if you haven't watched the other 4, you can continue watching this one and participate and have fun. If you want to start at the beginning, I have a playlist of these, and they're all numbered 1, 2, 3, 4, and this is number 5. Haunted Highrise is a book that's illustrated by Alessandra Santelli. It's a fun book. She has several. She has a haunted cruise ship, which I think would be fun to do next. This is a high-rise. It's kind of mid-century mod style, and in this high-rise, a lot of murder happens. So we are going to go to the next one in our series. So if you remember, we've done an old-fashioned murder. This was our first one. Yep, this was fun, remember? And I am going to be telling you I will be telling you the answer at the end. But I'm not going to be telling you the answers of these, because just in case you haven't done them yet. This is the Vengeful Muse that we did. That was one I think that a lot of us did get. Here's one a lot of us missed, Satan's Songbird. I actually figured this one out and then talked myself out of it like a dodo bird. And then this one, Danger for Dinner. Remember, this one had a lot of red herrings. This book has a lot of tricks to it to make you think that something's important, like we thought this broken dish was important, and it may or may not have been. You know, what was cooking in the oven may or may not have been important. This was a toughie. I think I did get this one, but not for the right reasons. I can't remember. The next one we're doing is this one, The Final Act. So in the final act, as usual, what I've already done is colored the most boring stuff for you to watch. And I will be coloring this on camera in double speed with a voiceover. I just use alcohol markers, but I actually used, I think, a King Art gel pens right here. Yeah, King Art gel sticks to cover these big areas. So I just did that real quick, because there's never really any clues up there. Like, that's just a chandelier is the only object I've colored. The rest is just floors and walls. So let's read the story of this one. Okay. And if you want to start coloring along, that's great. I can't wait to see your pages. Several of you have been showing me your pages. This is called The Final Act. And this one said, police were called when the neighbors directly below apartment 620A heard a scream at 10:23 p.m. When Detective Stark arrived, she found the famous stage actress Vera Brickman lifeless in bed with a blood wound on her forehead. All right, so that's her. Now I'm going to go ahead and start coloring this. That's Vera Brickman, and that's her personal assistant. That's not a real dog. That's one of those statues that was popular in the 70s. And I am going to continue reading this while I color. All right. So, as we get started with my Copic marker, I'm going to continue reading the story. When the detective arrived, she saw standing over her with a face showing shock and tears was the personal assistant, Elena, who said she arrived around 10:30 to assist her employer. And when she arrived, the door was unlocked and Vera was unresponsive. As Detective Stark stepped into the room, Elena said that she had flipped Vera over to perform CPR, but nothing could be done. Detective Stark shook her head in disbelief. Okay, while I was reading that and through the magic of editing, I finished all of the deep red on this page that I wanted to do.
For some reason, with these big heavy curtains and this mid-century mod feel, I always want to go deep red with those curtains. So now I'm doing the posts, and I'm just slapping color on right now. I'm not even looking for clues at this minute, but I am doing the bed posts. I'm going to do the bed, and I'm glancing around a little bit. The first thing I noticed in this one were the slippers. Like, why would you wear slippers in bed? Why is she short-sheeted there and has the blanket on sideways? And there's got to be some reason the slippers are there, but we have to remember, too, that these pages are full of red herrings, and so they'll send us down the wrong path. Here I noticed the trophies, and I noticed I hadn't seen the trophies before, and then I think I'm looking at it right now a little closer, and I'm going to notice here in a minute that there's blood on the trophy. That's blood, and then you could see the dark spot on her forehead. So that was obviously the murder weapon. So I'm like, why don't you just fingerprint it? But that must be the murder weapon, and I'm going to put in some shading here. I'm not really doing much of any coloring, just coloring in the spaces. Not doing any shading or being particularly careful. And I'm considering that blood on the trophy now because, okay, we know she was hit in the head with that trophy, whatever that trophy is. So, yeah, there I'm noticing, hey, that's blood. I don't think I actually realized it before this moment. So I'm just going to put some red on it just so I know that that's blood, and I'm going to put the same on her forehead. Once I realize it, that's where she was hit. So she's hit in the head with the trophy. So what we know is that at 10:23, the downstairs neighbor heard a scream. And Elena is saying she arrived at the apartment at 10:30 and everything was unlocked. So she walked in and found her employer unresponsive on the bed, face down. I think I might have missed that part in the story. In the story, it says that she found her face down and that she flipped her over to perform CPR. So she was face down and Elena flipped her over. Who put the slippers on her feet? And who would put a blanket over a dead person? Well, I watch a lot of true crime, and actually that happens a lot. I don't know. I'm leaning towards Elena because, and the detective is too. It says the detective looked at her in disbelief. So the detective thinks it's Elena too. How do we know it's Elena? The other thing I noticed was there's candles in the window. They're not lit. Why would that be important? I'm using the chisel end of my Copic marker now. I always use chisels for big areas. It covers it fast and no streaking. So if you ever have big areas, use your chisel ends. I love that. So I'm looking at it now, trying to figure it out. And I notice the newspaper at the end of the bed. It's like I don't think it's a newspaper. I think it's a magazine. VIPs, VIPS, very important persons. And then it's got her name and picture on the front. Well, that's cool. She got her name on the front of a magazine. Here I'm using a brown that needs to be refilled and cleaned. And just mindlessly coloring the sheets and bedding, thinking about those slippers. I swear, the slippers have got to have something to do with it. It just bugs me. Why is she got her legs sticking out with slippers on? I don't know. I don't think I've noticed the wound on her head yet, which I don't know why I wouldn't. It did say she was hit in the head, and, the big bloody spot there. There's also dots on Elena's dress. When my hand gets out of the way, you can see that. Is that blood? But of course, if she performed CPR, she'd have blood on her. Yeah, there's spots. I think that's blood. But she would have performed CPR, so she would have gotten blood. I don't know why there's that one of those cool retro leopard statues, but I looked at that a lot while I was coloring around it. I can't see how that comes into play. At first I thought maybe that was the murder weapon. It's pretty big to use to swing and hit somebody in the head. But I thought, that's got to be the murder weapon. And then, no, it didn't have any blood or anything on it, and I thought that was too improbable. And the lamp looked pretty clean, too. I figured there has to be some significance about the magazine that's on this ottoman that I'm coloring right now. But a magazine wouldn't kill you, but there's got to be something. That's got to be a reason there's a magazine there. Okay, so now we're down to the nitty-gritty. I'm going to do that leopard thing and the lamp real quick. Get that out of the way. I don't think there's ever been a leopard this color in the face of the world, in all of the world, because I don't know what I was thinking. I was thinking lion, I think. And B, it doesn't look like it has anything to do with the murder. I mean, I'm looking at it. I don't know. It just doesn't seem like it has anything to do with it. And the lamp, I mean, we've seen light sources be important, but doesn't seem to be lit. And the story didn't say anything about the lamp. So I think it's all right in here. It could be those candles, something having to do with the candles, because why are they there? The spatter on her dress is down low. Would that be important? I'm coloring those dang slippers that are bugging me. Why does she have slippers on? And are those pants or pajamas? I'm going to say they're pajama pants. I think they're pajama pants. But that'd be interesting if she was fully dressed underneath that blanket. Like, whoa, she was put there. But at this point, we don't know if she was put there or she was already there. But why would she go to sleep with slippers on and the blanket on sideways like that? I don't know. I think here's where I notice, oh, there's a wound on her head. That's right. There's a wound on her head. So the trophy hit her head there. Forehead there. Elena's on the opposite side of the bed saying that she flipped her over face up to do CPR. Probably doesn't matter that she's on the wrong side of the bed now because she would have had time after calling the police to move over to that side of the bed. Maybe the phone's over there. Yeah, I'm wanting to color those blood droplets. I didn't mean to grab such a dark green. But I think what I ended up doing worked out pretty well because I took this red and just kind of saturated the area, which kind of drove the green off and in its place put the red. So that worked pretty good. Subtle. All right, we need to start thinking about this and wrap this up because we're getting close to the end of me coloring and I'm going to tell you the answer. So please, if you do get the answer, say yes. Tell me yes, you got the answer and down in the comments. Don't give the answer though because people will see it and it won't make it fun for them. So we want everybody to be able to play the game. So did you get this? One last chance to look at it and figure out if Elena did this, the cop is suspecting her. How does she, the cop, know? Yeah, I'm worried about that magazine. It's got to have something to do with it. How do we know?
All right, so I finished coloring. And again, I just color these to figure out the story, not so much to be a masterpiece of coloring. I don't think I know the answer. I mean, yeah, it says that she's face up now. And she says she was face down when she found her. But she turned her over to give her CPR. Wait a second. Okay, we did find blood on this trophy and on the side of her head, and she does have blood spatter on her skirt. She could have got that trying to turn her over, but if she was turned over, if she was lying face down, would her wound be there on the side of her head? It says on the side of her head, doesn't it? With a bloody wound on her forehead. Oh, okay. That's the story I'm going to go with. The bloody wound is on her forehead, so she couldn't have been face down when the assistant came in. So I think the assistant bludgeoned her, that she never was face down. I was thinking it was something to do with the slippers, though. Why would you have slippers on in bed? No, I'm going to go ahead with the wound on the forehead. What are you going with? Because I'm about to read it. Okay, remember, please tell me if you got it or not in the comments, but don't give away the answer, the solution, because people see the comments before they watch the video. So we don't want to give away the answer. But let's look in the back. Now this is the final act. Solutions on page 74. And I don't look ahead. The final act. Okay. I'm going to just kind of pull it off screen here so we don't see any others. If the downstairs neighbor heard Vera scream, then the victim must have seen her attacker. So the assistant wouldn't have found her face down after the attack, especially since the wound is on the front of her head. Eventually, the assistant, under intense pressure, confessed that she'd been fired earlier that evening. Vera had discovered that she'd been leaking sensitive information to the press. Aha, that newspaper. She'd used the Tony Award on the dresser to deliver a deadly, vengeful blow, spattering a bit of blood on her skirt in the process. I did not get the scream part. I thought there must be something to do with this. Yeah, this is the, like, Tattler magazine that she's been spilling secrets to. So she fired her, and then she got mad and hit her in the head. So who said she heard her scream? The neighbor downstairs. The neighbor directly below heard a scream. Well, I mean, she could have screamed with her face down, but yeah, it would have been hard. But definitely, especially the blow on the forehead. How many of you got it? Did you get it? That was a hard one. And it wasn't until I think you saw while I was coloring that I discovered that there was discoloration on the trophy and discoloration on her head. And I was like, oh, that's blood. And then those same spots were on her skirt that I realized that was the murder weapon. So hopefully in my voiceover I mentioned that. But yes, how fun. All right. Well, that concludes the final act. That is Haunted Highrise number 5. And the next one we go on to is number 6. This is the 5-finger discount. All right, so this is our next one. And I'm looking forward to seeing you back here on Happy Catastrophe with another Haunted Highrise. All right, see ya. Love you. Bye-bye.